Hi, I'm Coach MK, founder of the Fitness Protection Program. I'm a run coach, not a life coach. We're never really talking about the running. Running is the tool. It's the conduit we use to examine the world we live in, as well as its impact on our own lives and the lives of the people around us. How we react to certain people and to certain stories tells us a lot about how we view ourselves. I'm committed to the thoughtful, intentional exploration of the importance of running so that no one discounts their own badassery, ever. Final note, this podcast is geared towards every runner who won't lose their home, livelihood, or health insurance if they show up to the corral with a hangover. Not that I'm encouraging you to do that, just saying. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the Fitness Protection Podcast.
It's time to get started with a nice, easy warm-up. If you haven't been doing your silly toes, anytime is the perfect time to start.
Hello, Coach Sarah.
Hello, Coach MK. How are you?
I'm good. It has been a very long weekend. I don't know if you saw on Facebook, but we have discovered Pokemon Go.
That is very exciting. I'm really happy for you.
I can't lie. It's really cool. It is really cool. I remember when it was released in 2016, my husband's grandmother had just passed. He was in San Francisco taking care of her, like cleaning up the estate and getting ready for the funeral. I remember him calling me and saying, I don't know what's going on out here, man. All these people are standing around with their smartphones. And it was because they were all playing Pokemon Go, and there were some really valuable Pokemon that happened to be near the hotel where he was staying. And he's got photos of people just all over the place trying to get this Pokemon from that weekend. Now, at that point in time, we didn't have a use case for Pokemon Go. And we really haven't since. I remember there was a group at one of the retreats that wanted to go chase Pokemon in Spokane later that year. And, I'm not one of those people that judges screens for any reason. Screens have been amazing for my special needs child. So I think it's total intellectual nonsense to hate on screens in any way, shape, or form, or categorically be like, they're ruining human connection. That's what they said about the radio. That's what they said about TV. And we just fine. You're just fine. Anyway, I've been completely indifferent to Pokemon Go. It wasn't something that really spoke to me, but it came up in a couple broadcasts ago. If you remember, my son was talking about Pokemon, and somebody commented, I want to be your friend on Pokemon Go. And it came up as one word, Pokemon Go. I didn't make the connection at the time, but anyway, we downloaded the app, we linked his account, and now he's very excited, begs to go outside. Mom, can we go outside? I bet there might be some Pokemons here. Oh, we could level up. Oh, we could. I mean, he's getting excited to go outside and do things and hit new parts of town. And, RJ's a lot like me. If my dad had not had the heart attack when I was 6, if our life had not been changed overnight by that, I'm not sure I would be a runner, to be honest with you. I'm a homebody. I really like being at home. I can dress up just fine here. I don't need people to see me to get a lot of appreciation out of these earrings. I will dress up for myself. And going out can be a lot of time and a lot of work. And RJ's really been the same way as long as he's been around. Like, he's not the sort of rough and tumble boy that wants to go run around and play outside and get real dirty and break things. And he's just like, no, I'm good. I want to read my Dogman books. The couch is soft. I don't need to. Him. Like, he's just very, very low key. Mm-hmm. So this has been a real change, and I'm trying to be cautious not to praise it so much that he feels bad about being who he is. At the same time, it's like, I'm always excited when I think one of my kids might get excited to go on a run with me, because now he'll hand my phone to me and be like, oh, are you going running, mommy? Get some Pokemons. And then I come back and he's like, show me what you got. And he'll sit there and play with the newest Pokemon while I take a shower. And it's really cute. It's not like the typical role-playing game where I'm breaking his concentration. If he's like, oh, Mom, look what I just got, and hands it to me. There's like, Mom, come see this. And he sits in my lap and he's like, I want to take a picture of you with this Pokemon. And I'm like, thank you. And it's just been a really cool way of interacting that we've never had before. So I'm like, Pokemon Go, greatest thing ever. Special needs moms, if you're check it out.
That's awesome. I love hearing that. It sounds like perfect kind of bonding for you two. And especially with 3 sisters, I can imagine that time with you is really special to him, like something that just you have between the two of you.
And like this afternoon, we went to the park and it was a little colder than we thought it was. It was, it said 41, but it was sunny. So we figured it would feel like 50. It did not. And then the wind picked up and I didn't have the right pants on. So I got really cold real quick. And the girls were, this is the sort of situation where normally my son would be like, can we go home now? Can we go home now? Mommy, I'm not happy. Can I just sit in the car? I really want to go home now. Like he would just keep asking and asking. But he didn't say a word. He was chasing Pokemons and got 2 really valuable ones and was excited to show me, like, didn't complain about it at all. And when I said, okay, RJ, it's time to go, I need the phone back, he was like, click, click. Okay. But reason being, he knows if he pushes me on it, he might not get to play Pokemon the next day. And that has been a powerful deterrent in this household. If y'all don't stop, no Pokemon tomorrow. Silence.
Yep.
Okay.
Any kind of leverage, give it to me. I will take it, whatever it entails.
And I try so hard not to be judgy about like the leverage other parents use. You work with what you got, and sometimes you don't have a choice in what you have.
Yes, I'm 100% with you there. Oh my gosh, the Christmas hangover is hitting us big time this weekend, and I think it was a delayed onset because we stayed in DC for another week after Christmas, so there was a lot more grandparent time and a lot more like yes.
Yep.
And then we came home, and now it's like, oh, you guys, the people who don't let me do the things I want to do. and there's been a lot of whining the last 2 days, so I'm really glad tomorrow's Monday. I love you, Roz, and I'm really glad tomorrow's Monday.
Oh, yeah. I loved how you were like, we made a meal the most complicated way possible because I just could not read this book one more time. If it was this book or the dishes, I choose dishes. I feel that.
The book is Dragons Love Tacos, by the way. which
is good, it's good,
but we've read it a lot of times since Christmas Day. 2 years ago on Christmas, it was Abby Yo-Yo. We were kind of laughing about it that this was the Abby Yo-Yo of Christmas this year. She was obsessed with Abby Yo-Yo when she was 2 years old. And now it's Dragons Love Tacos. And now the cute thing is that she has learned it basically by heart because 4-year-olds can do that. So she can basically read the whole thing. And that's actually very, very adorable. And I enjoy that. When she makes me read it, I'm like, I cannot make my mouth say these words again. I just can't do it.
It's hard.
Yeah, it's hard. But tomorrow's Monday. Yay.
Tomorrow is Monday. Oh my gosh. And 2 of my kids will be back on their routine. 2 will not until Tuesday for reasons I don't completely understand. But all that aside,
that's wrong to me.
I am ready to get back into my schedule. It's been a wonderful 10 days. Longer than that, 2.5 weeks. My husband home not traveling. And I'm kind of ready for everyone to go back on the road. I'm ready for everything to go kind of. It's been very good. We've been married almost 10 years. And he did the numbers the other day and he's like, you realize in almost 10 years of marriage, we've only been in the same location for 4 of those years. And I'm like, yeah, that's why it's
Exactly.
It's not about you. It's like, this would be me with anybody. So
no, I remember at one point when we were early in our marriage, maybe we had been married for like 1 year. We visited my aunt and uncle and they were like, yeah, we have separate bathrooms. It's so amazing. It's why we're still married. And we were like, well, that seems, I don't know, married people should love all the things. And now we moved from a house in Florida where we had 2 separate sinks, which was amazing, to going back to sharing the same sink. And I'm like, ugh. Maybe one day we'll get to have separate bathrooms. That would be great.
I mean,
that could be my hashtag goals for later in my life. That's what I'm going to do with my wealth when I accumulate it.
That we basically want the same thing.
Yeah. Well, that's why we're building this business, right? So we can have separate bathrooms and all the space we want.
And a closet. I would like to have a closet. I live in a really old house. It was built in 1885 and we don't have closets and it's annoying.
Yeah, no, you for sure need a closet. Anyone who did the Holiday Strength Challenge must know this. We got to see just a sliver of your wardrobe and the fact that you don't have a closet is criminal. So
thank you.
That's next for you, I think.
Oh, it's fun.
Warm-up is done, feeling good, heart rate hovering around 140. Now let's get into the heart of this podcast for the long run.
But what's next for us is getting started and getting right to it. For those who are just joining the stream and later will be hearing this as a podcast, my name is Coach MK. I'm the founder of the Fitness Protection Program. Over here, you also hear, but not see, Coach Sarah, because somebody has to keep me from floating off into outer space and not coming back.
Somebody has to have all the tabs open. All the tabs.
All the tabs. Oh my gosh. So we're going to be taking questions from the clients in the Fitness Protection Programs. We're going to start with Runner Interrupted, then move over to Rebuild, and then maintain. And just a quick refresh, if you're not familiar with what we do, Runner Interrupted is a support-based program to help runners through periods of not running. For any reason, for as long as you need, we are here you to keep you tethered so you're not rushing to get back, because when you're not able to participate in a run club the way that you usually do, it can feel like you've been kicked out of a club, and it sucks. I've been there, and I want to make sure that y'all have what you need to get through any period of not running for any reason. Rebuild was designed to help to reestablish a fitness and running habit. I really don't care why you would have gone away, whether you're recovering from an injury, if life got in the way. There are a million reasons why a runner could be interrupted, and an equal number of reasons why a person may need to rebuild. If you ever in your lifetime at any point would have had something resembling a fitness habit, then Rebuild is for you. And then finally, Maintain is a program for anyone who has a modicum of fitness that they would like to maintain. We give them marathon training plans for free, and we keep them primed on a month-to-month basis, ready to run a half marathon whenever they want to. I get that people like to race, but what we don't need to do is stress about it. When you maintain the way we do, you don't have to train the way that you've trained in the past, which means that you can pretty much do whatever you want and not have to worry. And that is an empowering place to be. I hope to keep everyone there.
Yes. All right, should we get started with Runner Interrupted?
Let's do it. And if you're joining the live stream and we get to your question, or if you have a follow-up question to something you hear, feel free to put something in the chat. If I don't see it, Coach Sarah will, and she'll make sure that your question is answered or your comment is acknowledged.
That's why I got all the tabs open. That's why.
Like Dan Felton here saying that he has only kept one plant alive one time. I don't want to make it.
Yeah, that's also me. I don't even try anymore to keep plants alive because, that's it's just not in my wheelhouse right now. Harvard can only Harvard so much.
So, I mean, really, so what? So what? So what? You don't have a plant in your house. You know what?
Exactly.
What? They attract spiders.
Yep. Also, my husband's allergic to like all of them. And the fewer things that kick off his allergies in our environment, the better. I once gave him a rose after he gave a concert, and he like almost died because it was just there in his dorm room with him. He couldn't figure out why. He was like, I can't breathe. I don't get it. So anyway, I don't need plants in my life.
Which is not what you expect when you hand somebody a rose. Like if I was trying to kill you, I would have a much more creative way. Be white oleander.
Seriously, I was going to say, have you seen like Phantom Thread? That's where I would go first. I would go for the mushroom omelet. Spoiler, sorry. Okay, my job is supposed to be to keep you from going off the rails. So, Runner Interrupted, we have 2 weekly wins, and I am so happy because we have not heard from people in Runner Interrupted very much lately, and it makes me really happy to hear from you. I know you all are there, and I know that you just don't always have something that you feel like you really want to say. So, I'm really glad that a couple of people felt moved to tell us something that went really well for them this week. The first one is second appointment with my PT, and I graduated from clamshells only to clamshells, bridges, and dead bugs. Plus, I got to snowshoe with a good friend from college.
Oh, somehow it doesn't feel like a win when the reward is more work, but okay. I'm with you. I hear what you're saying. There's only so many clams a girl can do, or a guy.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
But it's nice to have different work, right? At least you get to switch from clamshells to something else.
To be told that you can do more work is huge. And the scariest place to be is in a place of not feeling good and not working with no one able to give you an answer or a best next step in any direction. We don't know what to do. We don't know what to tell you. Just wait it out. Give it some time. That is not what you want to hear. So the work don't need you to like it. It needs to get done. If you are assigned work by somebody, we encourage everyone in Runner Interrupted to embrace that work with both hands. Do it with gusto. Complain about it all you want, but you still got to do it. Because that's the person who doesn't have any work. You are still winning at life compared to that person. And we're not here to make fun of that person who has not been given any work to do, or like there is nothing that can be done, but rather perspective. If you have something that you can do, just do it.
Yeah. Really happy for you. Keep it up. And I'm so glad you got to snowshoe. That sounds like a lot of fun. Nice to get outside, I'm sure. Next.
Pokemon Go. You. Let us know.
Yeah. Oh my God. Snowshoeing with Pokemon Go sounds amazing. Maybe you need to download that. Yeah. So whoever that was, you could Pokemon Go in the PT's office. You could Pokemon Go on your snowshoes. I see all kinds of possibilities. All right. Throughout my chemo treatment, this is the second win we got, I have made sure to also get massages and acupuncture because not running makes my muscles grumpy. I think that's so great. I love that.
Do you remember the Matrix?
Yes.
Okay. Well, you remember when like Neo called, he's like, my muscles. It's like, you've never used them before. And
Yes.
they like fill in with needles. And that is what I think of. And like, if you needed a visualization, or an excuse to keep doing this, there it is. You want to keep those muscles going. You want to keep them activated in a time when you can't necessarily use them. It's not the same, but it's better than nothing. And if it feels good, do more of that.
Yeah, definitely. I love that, especially when going through chemo treatment, which just wreaks such havoc on your body in so many ways. Anything that makes you feel good, I am so in favor of that. Good for you. And thank you for telling us. That makes me really happy. That person actually, side note to everyone in Runner Interrupted who is receiving our daily text, that person responded to the daily text and I received it and it was very exciting. So I just want everyone to know that that's a thing you can do.
Yes. And if you didn't know, we have daily text in Runner Interrupted. That's part of the crux of the program. There's an activity book that you still get training peaks with suggestions on activities throughout the month. We're still tweaking it. This program is still very much in beta form, but it's part of our base subscription products. So if you want to check it out, feel free to check it out. For the $30 a month subscription, you have access to Rebuild, Maintain, and Runner Interrupted. We want here to support you through every stage of your running journey. And anyone who runs will be in one of those 3 buckets over time. So yeah, the daily texts are a thing, and they're really cool, and we love writing them. And we've recently had a feedback session trying to see what we needed to do to really launch this in its full form, or say declare it like out of beta. And I loved all the feedback about the texts. Like, yes, this is exactly what I would have wanted.
Yeah. The texts are really amazing. You've done a great job with them, and it makes me really happy that they give people a little bit of joy right at the beginning of their day. They definitely do me. I'm very lucky not to currently be a Runner Interrupted, and I know what they're going to say because I programmed them into text magic after you wrote them. But I love getting them. It's really nice. It's a nice little boost. It's something that comes to me that isn't like trying to get me to do something. It's just saying,
yeah. Or reminding you in those moments, like, I'm never going to hit it right. I'm not clairvoyant, and I kind of don't want to be. That sounds like a lot of responsibility. But what I do know is that there are definite cycles to people doing run streaks and talking about all the running they're doing. Like how I feel about that sort of challenge is beside the point. You're still inundated right now with people doing things that they will not, in all likelihood, keep up with throughout the year. And a lot more messaging about it as people ask the world to hold them accountable to seeing this promise through. They made themselves drunk in a bar somewhere right before the ball dropped on New Year's Eve without thinking it through. That, not to be too judgy about it, but that's where I think a lot of these really terrible ideas are born. But the biggest reminder is hey, everybody says they're running. Those lying motherfuckers. Not true. They're performing it. They're not actually doing it, or at least they won't be in 2 more weeks. Just got to write it out, stay on your Facebook feed. These are the sorts of things I say in the training peaks and in the daily text to the Runners Interrupted. Just a reminder of like, hey, guess what? The grass is greener, but all of that grass exists in your mind. You are making it up because you feel bad. Don't do that.
Yeah. All right. So that's what we have for Runner Interrupted. And then we had one more thing that you wanted to make sure we addressed, which is that Mary Lenczewski, as if what she really needed was another set of problems. She posted on Facebook today that her car won't start. And Mary Lenczewski needs to hear from you right now about that, I think, because, man, she is having a run of luck right now.
Well, and you're having some luck too, as I understand it.
Yeah. Currently, I can't use my kitchen sink. It started with the disposal not working before Christmas. And we thought, okay, that's fine. We don't have to use that for a while. But then the dishwasher started backing up full of water. And we thought, okay, well, maybe we just won't use the dishwasher until they come fix the disposal. But now every time we run water into the sink, it makes the dishwasher back up. So we cannot use the sink, dishwasher, or disposal.
Sucks.
Yeah,
it
does. Yes.
I would say is this. Today is January the 5th. And when there is no other explanation for things in the world that is sane and makes sense, I turn to the stars. You know what? Astrology was never designed to predict the future. Like, here's your horoscope. You will fall in love today. It was always supposed to be like, hey, the things that are constant in this universe are these natural wonders that people studied before we had MTV, CNN, or screens. People looked at the stars. And the stars made no sense, so they made stuff up. So when I have no other explanation for why things are going wrong, I'll be like, is Mercury in retrograde? 9 times out of 10, it absolutely is. Is it science? No, but neither is science a lot of the time. Did you know that women weren't allowed to participate at any distance longer than the 800-meter dash, is what it was called at the time of the Olympics, because our uterus might fall out. And that was until like the 80s. 1984 was the first Olympic women's marathon. Guess what year, the first year women were allowed to participate in the triple jump?
1996.
34.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
I went for the extreme answer. No,
there's a lot of stuff in science that isn't really scientific. Like, you want to poo on astrology? Like, I can poo on some science for you. Whereas generally held things that have been passed off as science. I tell you that to say this. Uranus is in retrograde right now. And what Uranus does is retrograde to Taurus, which means that it's going to blow up your comfort zone. And we've been talking about this for 6 months, as all of our comfort zones have been blown up one way or another. And we're in the final vestiges of it before it changes on the 11th. All of the year ahead thingamabobs have been coming out, all the predictions and stuff from Chandy Nichols. If you, she just released this book, You Were Born for This. And everyone that I follow that I think actually knows a little bit of something about astrology is saying the same thing. And that is this: once this retrograde ends, there's a new energy kind of coming in. And this year alone will make up for the last 2 years. Not just this period of disruption, but the last 2 years. And I don't know about y'all, but 2018 sucked and 2019 sucked. There were bright spots. That's why we do the Realm Your Roars. But on the whole, it sucked. So hang in there a little bit longer. Yeah. All signs point to this year being pretty darn good.
Oh, God, I hope so.
Same people that told me to hold on in 2018, like, this year's going to suck. And warned me in 2019, this year's going to suck. And I was like, oh, come on, it can't be that bad. Anyway, so I'm saying into this, take what you want, leave the rest. Just know this too can and will pass, and the rest of the year hopefully is going to make up for the last 2 years. And Mary, in your particular case, that's been about, since I've known you, you've been gaslit by your doctors while you tell them, I have a problem. And they're like, yes, step on the scale. And you're like, what? And I know this because this is common. Fat phobia. You'll hear me talk about this a lot. Fat phobia and misogyny medicine. Fat does not, excess body fat. What does excess mean? 10 pounds over, 30 pounds over? At some point, fat becomes the explanation for everything. I've watched, my husband go to the doctor for an ear infection to be told, like, oh, well, if you lose some weight, you'd have a better immune system. As though that has anything to do with it. That's not science. But I could go on and but that forever. I'd almost rather send him to an astrologer some days. Like, at least you'll come back feeling better. You won't from the doctor. But all that just to say that no one really listened to you and validated you. And once they got inside you, they saw it was worse. It was exactly what you said had been going on, and it was worse than they had expected. So my hope now is that with this behind you, you can start reclaiming a lot of your time and space in the world, pain-free, giving a finger to everybody who didn't listen to you every step of the way. Because now forevermore, you'll have a story to look back on and say, oh, you're not taking this seriously? Well, the last doctor who didn't take me seriously missed all of this.
Yeah. I really, really hope that this new energy this next year brings you so many good things, because God knows you really, really deserve it.
Yes.
You really do. And we love you, and we're thinking about you. And I really hope that your car gets unfucked.
Me too. Same with your kitchen.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Hopefully tomorrow, but if not tomorrow, Tuesday. Yay.
Yay.
All right. I think on that note, it's time to move on to Rebuild, where we have 2 questions. First one is, they're actually from the same person, I'm pretty sure. I'll still read them in 2 parts because they're 2 separate questions. First question is, I am super excited for 2020 and my commitment to myself. I will hold space for me each day for fitness specifically. My question is, on the days when I cannot run, haven't moved the treadmill yet and it's too loud to use while I was asleep where it is at present, will using an elliptical do the trick in terms of weight-bearing cardio? Will it help with the micro adaptations in the body that support running? I am thinking that keeping that on a higher resistance level so it mimics an uphill path will result in more weight-bearing. Or is it better to just try a walk on the treadmill that night? Thanks.
No, I'm all about like the lowest hanging fruit possible. When we have to ask ourselves, what do I need to get? Am I getting it? And you're going to get it on an elliptical. Now, at the same time, I can't promise you that we can train for performance to meet a time goal in any distance on an elliptical. But we can do a whole lot. Not everything is equal, but not everything needs to be, and not everything needs to have that scientific surgical precision. It's thank God we don't have that kind of pressure. We can do a lot with a little. And I intend to do that for the rest of my life. So to tell you that, to tell you this, do what works at the time in the morning to get on the elliptical is the best time for you to do it. It is not so deficient that I would say no. What's better is what's going to fit better in your schedule and make you feel like you got a good workout. And I don't know about y'all, but getting on the elliptical and being able to up the power is a little more fun to me than trying to get on the treadmill at night at the end of the day after I've been playing Pokemon Go and recording podcasts and answering questions and having to meet with marketing people and having to meet with the budget people and having to have, like, my brain does not necessarily want to be like, okay, great, the kids are in bed. Violet's definitely not getting back up again until 1 a.m. Now let's get on the treadmill. It's always first thing in the morning is always going to be best for me. But the more I like the option, if you want to get on the treadmill for a couple of minutes at night just to clear your head, great, do that if that's an option available to you. I'm always cautious, especially if you have a very demanding job or a very demanding family, then you probably have demands on your time in the evening. So trying to push your workout off till the evening, the longer the day goes on, the more that can and probably will get in your way and stand between you and the evening workout. So morning for me personally will always be the least stressful time to get my workout done. And that is why I present it that way. It's not about the timing. It's about the statistical probability of that workout happening. Because when it's 9 p.m. and I can't get out to do what I need to do and I've like missed every window that I had, that makes me angry and stresses me out, ruins my sleep, and doesn't set me up for a great day the next day. So I'd rather take the second best workout at the best possible time with an option to do a little more in the evening over saying, well, I'm going to do the best of the two when the marginal difference between the two is minimal and risk that workout not happening. Again, not that we worry about missing workouts. It's more like, why put off to the evening if you can do it in the morning?
Yeah, that's a great point. I really like that way of looking at it. The second part of this question is about slow burn. So this is someone in Rebuild who I think was planning to do slow burn, planning to jump into slow burn and maybe not do the pace-based workouts, which we have a few people who are doing that, which is great. We love that.
Yeah.
So
they will still get the benefit. They will be
definitely. Yeah.
Slow burn is not if you ignore the pace-based
Guys, I did the first strength circuit this morning and I already know I'm going to be so sore tomorrow. The Monday workout for slow burn, whether you are doing fast running or not, it is hard. It was hard without the weights. It is harder with the weights. Oh my God. Anyway, so she says, super conflicted about starting slow burn tomorrow versus waiting until February. It's been quite a stretch for me with few running days in recent weeks. I feel as though my fitness is truly at a low point. I am absolutely ready to recommit and find the time in these busy days, but would you recommend doing that first consistently and then starting slow burn, or just jumping in and following the plan?
Well, I feel like you answered your own question there when you're like, I'm conflicted about it. Like, let's minimize the conflict. Like, you're not behind. I would rather you wait till you're like, yeah, let's do this, than jump in because you feel like you're behind, then fall further behind. Because what slow burn does, the way I designed it, what I wanted this to be, was 8 weeks of building fatigue. Really, it's cumulative fatigue. It's a physiological theory that I absolutely love. It is super potent. It helped Amy Craig make a really big breakthrough about 8 years ago. And I remember when I went to a clinic on this and I thought, why aren't we having non-elite people do this? This makes a whole lot of sense. It's less wear and tear on the body. It's more interesting. But hobby joggers, like, you want to pay for a really hard program. You feel like you didn't get your money's worth if it doesn't hurt. I'm all about, like, how about we just don't hurt ever? Don't go harder than we need to. Go a lot more frequently than most humans do and see if we can get the same gains, and actually you get like way infinitely better gains. So I tell you that again to tell you this, it's going to be building. The first week is not going to feel like a whole lot of work. You're going to be wondering if you're doing it correctly. You're going to be tempted to not follow my instructions because you're not hurting and you're not sure if you're doing it right. It's going to be very disorienting. Second week's going to be the same thing. Third week, it's going to start to feel it a little bit and you'll be calming down. Week 4, it'll start to catch up with you. By week 8, you'll be so glad this program is over and proud of yourself for doing it. But most people will cut the hard workouts, the hard runs, and maybe reduce the strength down to 2 days a week in week 6 and week 7 because it's a lot. And that's okay. There's no shame in that. There's nothing wrong with that. Listening to your body's the most advanced thing you can do. What slow burn was supposed to be exactly that, like a frog boiling in a pot, and all of a sudden it catches up to you and you're like, and you are forever changed, which again is a good thing. It's a very not painful way to get effective and terrific results. At the same time, if you're not coming into that from a position of strength, all of that psychological nonsense that will mess with you in the first couple of weeks as you're wondering if you're doing it correctly will go you into making a bad decision. And I would rather you start from an empowered place of like, okay, I had a month, I tucked it in, let's go, and really hit February in the face. Because we've got about, of the 54 purchases Sarah, right, we've got 12, I think, that have deferred their start throughout the year, and specifically 6, I think, that have deferred to February, or at least have told us I'll be starting in February. So,
yeah, something like that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, and we did that intentionally because everyone says, oh, I can't wait. Like, kids go back to school. I'm going to be on my schedule. And then you're not, because we all have this easing back in period. And if January doesn't go according to plan, great. You were not behind. Finish out, do what you can, and then be ready to start in February. Because February, originally I wanted to start this program in February. I wanted to skip January completely for that reason. But I was really afraid of losing people over the course of the year because a lot of you reached out and asked for something. So we were like, okay, we'll start in January with the option of like a restart in February, and then see if that works and structure the rest of the year that way. So for everyone else asking, when will the next few sessions of Slow Burn open? Depends on how the February start goes. We will decide for certain then.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to say
people
like,
are asking.
Yeah, I know. It's originally I said January, March, and September, but now if this January, February works, then it'll be either March, April, or April, May. And either August, September, or September, October.
Okay. All right, everybody. You heard it here, and we'll confirm next month, hopefully.
So I'd say just do what you can and maintain, or in a rebuild this month. Don't worry about what you missed. Don't worry about feeling behind. Do whatever you need to do this month to get to a place of confidence for the first Monday in February, and then, hit it with a hammer. We're going to have a great time.
We are going to have a great time. We're already having a great time, and the great time will continue. February is going to be a fun month because we're going to have everybody in there at once. All the January people, all the February people. It's going to be great.
And it has to be fun, right? You did the time trial this morning. And I know
I did.
I need a new name for it. Like, I hate the word time trial because it just has such a very fixed connotation in people's brains. But I got to say, how long is it? 6 minutes? The entire workout start to finish is like 20, maybe, if you extend the cool down. Okay. And that is the hardest I will ever ask you to run.
Yeah.
And
that was very comforting.
That will never be harder than what you're doing right now. Yeah. There's no single workout that's that hard.
Thank freaking goodness. Because it was hard, but it was also over very quickly. And I knew when I started that it was going to be over very quickly. And that helped me kind of get through it. And then, I don't have to do that again. Thank God.
But that's what sets everyone up for the confusion later when they were like, no, the time trial was really painful and this wasn't. And I'm like, why would you need to?
Yeah.
What does one have? This apple doesn't taste like an orange and I'm confused. They're fruit.
All right. Well, so we'll see you in February. Do your thing in Rebuild for right now. Rebuild is hopping these days and I'm really loving it. So it's a great place to be. Starting in on maintain questions, we have first off, here's the first question. I am loving the pace-based work in maintain. It feels really good. After years of mostly 140 to 150 heart rate caps, I get palpitations when I look back over my data for a run. Is there a threshold heart rate I should be worried about? Is there a too high?
Oh, for the pace work?
I think this person is talking about, the Monday, Wednesday workouts where we're running, pretty hard.
Honestly, this is how I look at it. 180. I'm always talking about caps, not targets. Sometimes when you're speaking to MK, you're speaking to the inner child in a cardiologist office with her dad back in 1983, who is being shown a chart of the heart rate. This is what moderate work is. This is what hard work is. Up here in this hard zone, your body is not using oxygen, which means your heart is not processing oxygen. And now that you've had this heart attack and a quintuple bypass, you cannot afford to be there for any reason, ever. Or you could die. And you could too, 6-year-old child. I'm like, oh my God. That 180 number, it's not that I'm afraid to go there. Rather, I need a real good reason to. Like, good things can happen there, but good things can happen everywhere. Bad things definitely happen up there. Bad things don't have to happen everywhere. So when you look at it from that paradigm, it's like there is this notion in fitness that I loathe. And that's more is better because it isn't less. Harder's better. If you get a little bit of good, then a whole lot of more will get you a whole lot good. And it's like, with no regard for where the law of diminishing returns kicks in. For most humans, within 2 standard deviations of the mean, which means like 98% of us, where the law of diminishing returns kicks in for your general workout is 168. From there, you are rapidly using more glucose than you are oxygen. So what do you need to get up there? You're putting a lot of wear and tear on your joints. You're putting a lot of stress on your joints. The benefits to that workout, we could get a variety of ways. that don't have the same impact on your joints. So that is maybe not the clean cut answer that you were looking for, because I kind of don't care. What I care about is wherever you are, if you're saying to yourself, she said 10K pace, I feel like 5 today. Ask yourself why. Like, I'm not going to ask you to go harder than you need to. Are you overachieving? What do you hope to gain? Do you just need to beat yourself up because you had a bad day? Okay. There's no wrong answer. It's more like, as long as you're asking yourself why and you're being honest about that why, then you're probably going to be okay. If you are consistently looking back and seeing that every single time I ask you to run harder than 140, you're well above 168, your averages are actually usually above or close to 180, and your pace is miles faster than what I asked you to do. If those two conditions are both met, that would be more of a conversation about like, okay, you're going way harder than you need to. Let's talk about why that is. Between now and there, I'm not that worried about it, because if you do what I say to do the way I say to do it, the odds of you burning out are incredibly low.
Yes, I definitely agree with that. And I think that if your heart rate can come down in the cool down, it's not always going to come back down under 140 for the cool down. But if your heart rate's coming down after the hard work, shortly after you kind of slow things down, that's also something to look for and make sure that that's happening. If it's refusing to come down, that might be something to follow up and ask us about again.
Yeah, but generally speaking, it's not something I worry about. I felt like, which is not to undermine what you're trying to say. Just like it's when what I worry about with people has to do with what you're trying to prove and what do you need to get. Either you're doing what's written, and if you're not, there's a reason. What do you need to get? What's the reason? Your heart rate is going to fluctuate a lot based on when you're not elite, because we're not machines and we're not like super finely calibrated, and we don't need to be, which means that the fluctuations and the variability is going to be a lot higher the less fit you are, which is not a judgmental statement, although it usually comes across that way because we're so used to, well, fit people are better than non-fit people, or some nonsense like that. I really loathe that type of paradigm. But the good thing is, like, yeah, your heart rate's going to be all over the place. Some days will be harder than others. Some days it won't feel that different, but your heart rate will be way higher. I'm not worried about those. Like, I went out on a run the other day and my heart rate was in like 162. Now I know it wasn't that high. That's the bad read. I've really got to, reset my watch and get the new heart rate strap. There have been other things going on. But in that moment, I'm like looking at my power and my power output and my stride. I'm like, okay, my power's where it needs to be. My pace is where it needs to be. My heart rate's off. How do I feel? I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing. Notice the triangulation between a couple of data points. Mm-hmm. When you are just saying to yourself, oh, it's fine, I'm going to ignore it, that's usually a bad choice.
Yeah. So let us know if you have follow-up questions. Moving on to the next question. I do best when I run in the morning, but sometimes I don't have time to get the full hour-ish workout in. I will try to either shorten or just get out the door for 20 minutes. My question is, if the stars align and I actually can fit in a run later in the day, should I do the full planned workout at that point, truncate it, or some other approach?
Whatever you want to do. There are a lot of days I'm kind of a honey badger that way. If the weather's good and I feel good and I have a little time and I want to go for a second run, I'll let myself do it. And I don't put any real constraints. The babysitter or the nanny will usually put constraints on my time. I'm like, okay, I got 20 minutes. I'm going to go out for 20. I'm going to take it. Oh my gosh, I've got an hour. I'm going to start. I'm going to aim for 20, but if I feel good, I'm going to go longer. So if it's a second run of the day, I get really nervous because it's like counting calories, counting mileage and counting time blocks can lead to bad choices. So I'm always trying to give the framework to get to the best answer possible. So if I say to anyone, like, what should I do today? And I say 30 to 60 minutes, the vast majority of people who gravitate towards me as a coach and distance running as a hobby are going to do 60 minutes. They're always going to take the high end of the range. They need a really good reason that does not make them feel like they are behind the curve to take the low end of the range, because that feels like an insult to you, to your athleticism, to your tenacity, your drive, whatever. So the way that I look at it is this. You go for that first run in the morning, you take what you can get. Cool. Let's pretend that didn't happen. When you get an opportunity to go out that second time, do whatever you want to do. If you have the bandwidth and the energy and you want to do the workout as written and it's pretty, it would be a great excuse to take a path to get you some more Pokemon balls and Pokestops and Pokemon. Do that. Do that. You have permission to do that. I would rather you looked at it that way than ask yourself, well, I did 20 this morning. There's 60 on the calendar. I really need to get at least 40. So if I can't, but I can only do 20 right now, then that's bad runner math, and that's not going to lead anywhere good. You have the opportunity for that second run. What do you want to do? You may do the workout as written. Yes. You may, but let's try to keep the entire workout time for the day below 1 hour and 30 minutes. If possible. So if you do 30 in the morning, definitely cap it at 60 in the afternoon. If you do 40 in the morning, don't worry about the 20 minutes. But if there's an opportunity and you want to go out for 20 to 30 minutes, that's fine too. Does that make sense? It's rather like, do I need to? No. If you're stressed about it, you don't need to. If you're excited about it, truly excited, then great, do it. And I realize that a lot of people are going to perform. They're going to give the right answer instead of the true answer, and just be really careful. As long as you're being honest with yourself, it'll be okay. I tell you all that to tell you this. You have permission to do the workout as written. You have the permission to go anywhere between 30 and 60 minutes with a heart rate of no more than 145 because it's in the evening and you'll probably have some caffeine and coffee in your body by then.
All right. Sounds good. Yeah. The evening runs can be nice, but my stomach often feels a little bit weird if I've eaten like within the last 4 hours. So that's the one thing that I find is the drawback of the evening run. But yeah, if you have a chance to get in the 2 runs today and you're really excited about it, I think that's great. And pay attention to your body and see how you're feeling.
Yeah. Do what you can and don't worry about what you miss is pretty much the de facto general rule for everything in my program. If you go out for 20 minutes in the morning, guess what? That's better than nothing. No, you don't have to make up the next 40. You don't add it somewhere else. You get what you get and you don't look back. But if there's an opportunity to go, it's a different story. But if you start thinking about it in terms of, well, I only did 20 this morning, so I really should. And I missed this yesterday, so I really should. The answer you come up with is not going to be a good one, even if it sounds kind of like what I'm giving you permission to do.
Yeah, it's really, the devil really is in the details.
The why matters.
The why matters, exactly. And the mindset that you're coming from matters. So next question, let's talk about recovery from flu or other intestinal bug things. I know Coach MK had a bout of food poisoning last week, and I am just getting over something myself. So a 2-part question. Generally, can we talk about how to pick up on maintain if we've been out for 4 or 5 days due to a stomach thing? And the second part is really more direct. I'm looking at slow burn for day 1 tomorrow and the next few days and think they are doable. But I see the 3rd day turns it on a bit. I'm generally feeling better and think I'm going to try to start Monday. Thoughts?
If you generally feel better and you've been sleeping through the night, and again, I say that not to be overly pedantic, but your muscles are 90% water. So when you're dehydrated, where the first 2 big sources of water in your body is going to be 1, your colon, and 2, the big muscle groups that you need to generate power and run efficiently and economically. So that means like your quads and your glutes and your core and things are going to be off and you're not going to be fully supported. So this is one of the reasons why it doesn't make sense to train, lift heavy things, or do hard workouts when you're sick. You are not doing your body any good when it's in something of a dehydrated or sleep-deprived state. If you're coming back from, I really hope that what you had is not like what I had. Make sure that you're hydrating with, water with lemon is always terrific, and a little bit of sea salt if you can stomach adding sea salt and lemon to water. Coconut water is terrific. Any sort of hydration source, those just Endurolytes are fine. Anything other than Gatorade, anything that has a lot of sugar in it is not a good idea. That sugar is there for a very specific type of context. Any doctor will tell you that, or at least every doctor I've ever seen has been like given the option between Gatorade and apple juice for a person who is fatigued and tired and definitely dehydrated at the end of a race. I would give them the apple juice, and I would give that to my toddler too. Apple juice before Gatorade every day of the week. And I feel pretty strongly about that too. So make good rehydration choices. Make sure that you're being conscientious about it without like trying to force anything down. And if you're truly feeling better, then jump in. But you can also push everything back by a couple of days or push it back by a week. You can do the Trim trial on Wednesday when you are sure that you are feeling fine, and just pick up. And then, so do time trial on Wednesday, take Thursday off, do Friday as written and Saturday as written, and then do what everybody else is doing on Monday, and you're by no means behind. That's another option available to you too. Everything, if you're doing the pace-based workouts, I mean what I said in the email. there is no reason to stress out about the time trial. But all of the work you're going to do is based off that time trial. So you need to feel decently good about that time trial, or you're going to question yourself, this process, and every single workout that you do for the next 8 weeks. And then at the end of it, you're going to wonder if you got your money's worth. When the cumulative fatigue starts to catch up with you, you're going to wonder if that's because you did the time trial wrong. I would rather start this with as few doubts as possible. So if you wake up in the morning, you're like, yeah, I'm good to go, then by all means go. If you wake up and you're like, no, take another day, 2 days. It's going to be fine. Like, you're not going to be as far behind as you fear you are. Does that sort of answer all of it?
Yep, I think that does. So we really hope you're feeling better. And if you want to do the time trial tomorrow, great. And if not, cool, do it on Wednesday. And February is always an option, but I know you really want to get into it. I'm pretty sure I know who this is. So I really hope that either Monday or Wednesday works out for you to do it.
And
if
sleep
not this
matters
Monday,
too.
then next Monday. Yes, sleep matters too.
And then here's why. Rehydration doesn't happen on the deep level that we need it to when you're awake. It only happens when you're sleeping. It's why a lot of pro athletes take naps in the middle of the afternoon.
That's why LeBron is all about his sleep. I remember we talked about that on a podcast a little while ago, and I really enjoyed reading about all of LeBron's sleep habits.
Yeah, I mean, because they will talk about the recovery aspect to it, like it's the best, but they don't really talk about the why and the science of it. So trying to force a nap after you've had a whole lot of uppers and caffeine, whatever throughout the day, it's just not available to us. But as much as you can sleep through the night, all the healing, the really good stuff, that's when it happens. So that's why I don't know if I made that connection clear. Because if you've been dehydrated, you've probably not been sleeping well, or you've been really fatigued out for 10 hours and don't feel like you still got a good deep sleep. That's true, you didn't. I would not feel ready to kind of do the time trial myself until I'd had at least one really good night's sleep and woke up feeling kind of okay.
All right. Let us know what you decide. Really hope that you feel better, all the way very soon. I have 2 more questions. Next question is, doing Ragnar at the end of January, all 3 legs are roughly 4 miles and easy to moderate. What should I do to prepare other than some 2-a-days? What should taper look like? What about recovery? And then in parentheses, I'm not expecting this to be race effort.
Yeah, I'm not so worried about the taper. I'm more worried about adding in the 2-a-days, because here's the thing about a Ragnar, and I was an ambassador for Ragnar. I really like the races they put on. I love what they do. What makes what they do more difficult is, again, the amount of time you think you need to recover. So you're probably not sleeping through this period. The first run's going to feel fine, but if you've waited 6 hours or more for your turn to run, you've probably been sitting cramped up in a van, unless this is one in the woods, and then you've probably been hanging out at the party at the woods for the Ragnar Trail loops. It's really hard to get started again. To do 3 4-mile races at full race effort in a 24-hour period you're asking more of your body than you think, because no matter what your Garmin says, your power stores will not be fully restored before you start that second 4-mile race. They will be even less restored by the time you start the third. So you're going to be decreasing at an increasing rate. And the one thing I would want a person to be comfortable with is being in that, and the same with my ultra runners. That's why I treat ultras and stacked races like Ragnar, like one and the same. You've got to get used to running when you don't want to. When running sounds like the worst thing ever, and you tell yourself, you lie to yourself and say, oh, as soon as I get started, I'll feel better. You don't, and you won't, and you'll be wondering why you're there. And that's what the third feels like. Or the third, you think you held back adequately in the first round and the second round, and then the third round, you've got nothing in the tank. You can't go any faster. And now you're disappointed with the times that you ran earlier because you hadn't saved as much as you thought you had. There are a lot of ways this can go against you, and you miss the point of Ragnar being like a really crazy, insanely fun event. So those are the only things that I would worry about, is making sure you're getting some 2-a-days in, and not from the fitness perspective, but from the mental understanding of what it means to be running when this is the last thing you want to be doing.
All right. So let us know if you have more questions. Other than that, though, if you've been doing Maintain, you're good to go. You're going to be like the freshest, chillest one there, probably.
Yeah. And one more thing. Make sure if you're not used to running at night, you will probably have to run, if not 2 legs, with minimal light. Get really used to that. Make use of your second run of the day. When I had the unicorns last year getting ready for 3 days at the fair, we had insanity runs, which imitated the loop. I would have runs I would be very particular about. You really need to try to do this at dusk. You need to try to do this as the sun is setting, after the sun is setting, while the sun is setting, because you need to get used to the temperature change. Running in the sun in the middle of the day at 63 degrees feels markedly different than running at night at 68 degrees. right? The presence of the sun makes it a whole lot hotter. And when the sun goes away, 68 might actually feel like you're in the 50s, and what you want to wear, what's going to feel okay. Everything changes when the sun goes down. Everything, including your ability to sense where you are and what you're feeling. So I would make that second run of the day, pressure it less from the fitness perspective and more from the what do I need to get, what can I learn from this perspective? What can I practice that'll get me ready for running at night? So maybe that means you do that second one with a blindfold on. I'm kidding. No, please don't do that. Maybe you should do not do a bird box run. Do not do a bird box run. I've seen those and I think they're stupid. Oh my God. And they're insulting too. One of my friends is a B1 category blind runner. Totally. He calls himself totally. He's totally blind. And he has heard that people do this and he just thinks it's really, really, really insulting. That's the height of privilege. So don't do it.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah. Anyway, if you've never worn a headlamp or don't wear a headlamp that often, if you avoid situations where you might need headlamps or knuckle lights, this would be a great time to practice it so you're not doing it for the first time in a really unfamiliar place where the road has no shoulder and there's nothing for your light to reflect on as far as you can see ahead of you.
Yeah.
Because a headlamp only works if there's something to reflect the light backwards.
Right. And also learning how far your beam goes in front of you. That's a good thing that you get a sense of when you're used to running with the same light all the time.
And what's going to make you
little things. Yeah, exactly.
It doesn't make me comfortable at all. It's not enough light. That's why I'm like, when I'm running and there's no sun, I want street lights. I want them everywhere. I want spotlights. I want, so these are things, again, you don't want to be learning for the heart. You don't want to be finding out for the first time. This is horrible and I'm really scared.
Yeah. So let us know which Ragnar you're doing and we're excited for you. I hope it goes really great. Let us know when it is too. We have one last question. This one got thrown in the chat on Facebook. So recovering from a hard workout, either intentional or unintentional. I mentioned this to MK privately. I misread yesterday's maintain run and did 95 minutes with 2-minute pickups every mile at 10K pace rather than 1-minute pickups at 10K pace. So what is the best way to recover from that? Extra stretching, roller, an extra day off. I've done the first two. I think I'm ready for Monday's run. I think the question is it okay for me to run tomorrow? And how do I know if it's okay or if it isn't? That was just Coach Sarah extrapolating there at the end. But summing up the question.
First, I would like to give you a huge round of applause for joining this program and working with me. That's huge. I'm always excited when we have another dude in the mix because we have a lot of dudes that just don't interact with the Facebook group, and Dan is in there. Where I was like, I guess guys just don't use Facebook the same way girls do. And Dan's just like, whatever, I'm getting my money's worth. And I love it. I love it. I love it. So yeah, don't worry about that. A lot of people make these types of mistakes. Just getting started. It's and I love telling the story about when the first time I needed to train for a marathon, I didn't know how to do it because I literally couldn't read the training plan. All training plans at that point were usually, the marathon wasn't that popular. It was 1996. Most of the training plans were bundled into books on how to do an Ironman because that was much more popular. And it seems like everybody that ever ran it just knew what 800 meters was. They knew which tick minute and which meant seconds and why you would do a ladder or a progression run. I'm like, I don't know what any of this is. And there was no dictionary in the back. There was no key that explained it. You had to hire a coach. And I wasn't about to do that. I was in college, man. I couldn't afford anything. But I digress. A lot of plans are still written that way. And one of the things that we're working on that we have not yet rolled out in its final version is the Fitness Protection Program Dictionary. If you follow us on Instagram, you'll see there's a button, FPP Dictionary, and you can flick through a lot of the existing definitions that we've already made. But this will be coming out in a much more interesting form, we hope, later next year. And that will be there and visual and searchable and at your fingertips. But for now, if ever you have a question, don't hesitate to ask it. You will probably not be the only person with that question. And people have a lot of questions when the new workouts come out at the beginning of the month. So no shame. Don't worry about it. What happened to you is a common mistake. What do I do about it? Not what you do to your plants. Clearly, I would like you to take care a little bit better care of yourself than you have those plants. An Epsom salt bath tends to be really, really helpful if your legs feel dead or fatigued. Sleep is good. Hydration's better. Foam rolling is going to be your best friend. You probably have not seen, because again, these are all videos that are going to be coming out later. You caught us at a really interesting time where we haven't truly opened the floodgates to bring in new clients because I did not yet have the resources to onboard people who haven't worked with me before. So, which is another reason I'm like, you're super badass that you're here. But once we do, I have a whole foam rolling routine. I call it the prescription or the script rather, because I don't want to get sued. I'm not a doctor. I can't say it's a prescription. But I have the script and it's 10 moves, one after the other in the exact order that was prescribed by a physical therapist to me a very long time ago. And it's still like my routine is still one of the better, more comprehensive ones that I've seen. And I can tell you why and how to do every single move. What I can't do is make it feel good sooner because you're going to have to do this every day for about 2 weeks on something as firm as a PVC pipe before it starts to feel, before you've like worked out all the kinks. But if you can hang in there for that long, it is a really game-changing thing to do. And I know we haven't gotten there yet. We don't have the video yet. You probably don't have that type of foam roller yet. And anything that says J-Fit that you got from the gym is going to be way too soft. It's like a pool noodle and you won't do it or use it because you won't see the point. So foam rolling is really.
I just pasted a link from our YouTube channel. Sorry to interrupt.
Oh, cool.
I just pasted a link from your YouTube channel, the Coach and K YouTube channel, with you doing the foam rolling at night. Yes, so we will reproduce that more professionally soon, but that's in there. Look for it in the chat right now. We'll also put it in the show notes.
So as to whether or not you run tomorrow, I'm not worried about you running tomorrow, but I'm fine with you doing it, and I'm fine with you doing it as written. If you were out there running, based on our previous conversation when I said, 140 is going to slow you down, and you're like, and then you're like, which again is a totally normal reaction. The 140 cap slows everyone way down, more than they expect, massively more than they expect. So I'm going to guess what you got out of a 95-minute run with the 2-minute pickups was probably somewhere in the vicinity of like 6.5, 7 miles. So the 2 minutes interspersed in there, that's 14 minutes of excessively hard running. I'm not so worried about the 14 minutes that I would worry about you going at. Now, if you read that as 20 minutes and made this a 2.5, 3 hour workout, 45 minutes of it were really hard, I would be like, you don't need to run till Wednesday. But that does not sound like this situation. So if you wake up and you feel it, go. If you wake up and you're like, nope, listening to your body is the most advanced thing you could possibly do, and no one's going to be a better judge of that than you. If you decide to take the day off, I'm never going to question it and be like, well, maybe you need some motivation and accountability, because I don't work that way, and I never will. If you're asking yourself, should I do this? Or this is what I think I need to do. Should I do it? The answer is always like, yeah, you should do that thing. If you're coming at it from a position of, I'm afraid of what'll happen if I don't, then that conclusion you've come to is probably a really bad one. Mm-hmm. So if you wake up and you feel it, do it. If you wake up and you're like, I don't feel like running the hard stuff, don't, make it an easy effort run. Don't do the hard stuff. And that's okay too. The only right answer can be determined by you in that moment. And I'm never going to, tell you that you suck.
Yeah. We're really glad to have you. Let us know how you feel tomorrow. Even when you make sort of a bad choice, we're not going to tell you that you suck. We'll just be like, okay.
That's a hard long run. Oh my gosh, That's a hard long run. Can you imagine?
Yeah, seriously. Yeah. The 1 minute pickups are hard enough. Thank you very much. After 1 minute, I'm like, all right, thank you. I'm good.
And for the record, anyone tuning in, and just so if you ever see this again, pickups are never longer than a minute. Pickups are pretty much, I think the longest I've ever assigned was 2 minutes, and it wasn't during a long run. And it was such a disaster. I never did it again. Like, we're going to leave it at 20 seconds, which is where the law of diminishing returns kicks in. We're going to cap accelerators at 1 minute total, 30 seconds of acceleration to deceleration. And we are going to cap pickups at 30 seconds, max it out at 1 minute, and we're good.
Woo! Hard work is done, but you know that the run doesn't end until you have a nice cool down and get on that foam roller. All right, that is it for questions. We did have a little bit of activity in the chat, but I was mostly able to address it. So someone was looking for their email about slow burn, and then she found it. It was in her junk mail. So if you're listening to this and you're wondering about slow burn, look in your junk mail for the email that went on January 1st titled "Slow Burn is Up." Hopefully, that is enough information.
This is why if you're a site member, you've been receiving 2 very different looking formatted emails. Some have been going through the Wix website. Some have been going through Constant Contact. And the final bits have been coming from the info@fitnessprotection.com email account. I'm hoping that one of the 3 would hit you, and all 3 still managed to miss. So again, apologies.
We'll get everybody. We'll get you.
We're doing the best we can, trying to find the most effective way, but it's so hard to avoid spam folders.
Yeah, it really is. But thank you for hanging in there with us. We love you. We appreciate you. See you in Slow Burn tomorrow. The strength video for tomorrow is up. I will be doing Tuesday strength tomorrow at around 10:30. So 10:30 a.m. Eastern. So that'll be mid-morning if anyone's doing strength the day ahead. But if you're doing it on Tuesday, it'll be ready for you first thing in the morning if that's when you like to do it. Yay.
Yay.
So thank you, everybody. That's all the questions we have.
I need to hear, I'll listen to a Learn to Read podcast on my next run. I need to know what Learn to Read podcast is out there. That sounds amazing. I love it. Well, I'm glad these are all
report back.
Thanks to everybody for being here. You're a coach. You're loved. Let's go win it the week ahead. And if whatever you do tomorrow, I hope it's nowhere near as hard as what Slow Burn's going to be doing when they start doing that strength.
Woo! Bye, guys.
Bye.